I've done that before, actually. Ages ago. I opened a video with me doing, well, it's actually a really old Yogpod reference, which is not out of character for me, even slightly. In fact, it might be the most in-character thing you'll ever hear from me, is me doing Yogpod references. I can't think of one to follow that up with. Anyway, welcome back to Overclock Showcase. Of course, hopefully, some of you know. I don't know, because, you know, I'm still, like, 3 episodes ahead. So, what was the last one? It would have been, Engineer again, right? So it was Well-Oiled Machine. Lots of fun. Hopefully, this will be a lot more fun. It's definitely a more fun Overclock, I can tell you that, with a lot of certainty, because, of course, it's Rocket Barrage. Our next... We're finally back to the 3rd generation primaries. That means the Hurricane is first. My favourite weapon in the game. That's true, by the way. Before it was my favourite weapon in the game, I would have not really had an answer. I don't know what I would have said. Maybe... I really don't know. It's kind of just defaulted to this, because I think I love, like, every single overclock on this thing. Like, genuinely, except Salvo module. I don't know why. I just don't use it. And again, if we had more loadout slots, maybe I would. Guys, seriously. There is no reason to not add more loadout slots. It's your choice, GoChip. It's entirely on you, and you're making the wrong choice by not putting them in, like, objectively speaking. And I'm willing to be sort of a little bit harsh with my words here. You're wrong to not put them in. It's weird. It doesn't need to be part of a big update. Do it now. Anyway, Rocket Barrage is an unstable for the Hurricane, of course. It was added at a really weird point, because it was added in Season 4. Which sounds strange, because Season 4 was as far as everyone's concerned, a very shallow disappointment of a season, with very minimal substantiating content, just sort of weird things just thrown about, nothing really to, like, you know, grab a hold of, see as, like, good high-end content that's going to give the game more longevity. There was one aspect of it, though, which was actually all in the realm of weapon balancing. And this all happened during the experimental branch for Season 4. Mike basically decided to take a bunch of Adderall, I think, and then just started balancing the shit out of certain overclocks. And the result was pretty incredible, because we got double barrel out of that as well. Double barrel on the boomstick. And the Hurricane had even more going on, because he also fixed plasma burster missiles, made them actually strong, like they used to be. Not as overpowered as they used to be, but still very strong now. But something we also got was a previous overclock. We used to have a 3rd clean, which was manual guidance cutoff. It got removed and replaced with Rocket Barrage. Now, I will say, I think they did that because they were weirdly sacred about not actually adding a higher, like, more overclocks, not actually adding to the amount that there were. So they avoided that by cutting one out, replaced with Rocket Barrage. I don't think this should have been the case. The truth is, manual guidance cutoff, yeah, it was a weird overclock, but it also did have people who used it, and they kind of just got rid of it, and I don't think that's quite right. However, I've got an idea for manual guidance cutoff, and yeah, I was going to say it's actually bundling it into nitroglycerin compound. I think it's a genuinely great idea. However, Rocket Barrage, yeah, they added this instead, or replaced manual guidance cutoff with Rocket Barrage, and it's a massive ammo and fire rate overclock. And it works. The fire rate increase is absurd, and we can see it pretty easily by there. It adds 6 to the base rate of fire of the Hurricane, which is absurd. It's you know, it more than doubles it, because it goes up to 6, and 6, not 6 again, but then 3 more. It's crazy, and obviously we can take that up to 12, which we do in one of the builds. No surprise. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and I love it. It's also flawed as hell. It's got a lot of problems that I want to address, but I think it's best to still just get into the actual gameplay. But the problems do boil down to the penalties and the positives, like the ammo situation, and I'll talk about it once we start playing. But for now, yeah, so coming up with 2 distinct builds for this overclock was actually pretty difficult, and that does lean into some of the criticisms, actually, because it's a fairly limiting overclock. Obviously, something I wanted to make sure of, so I used different tier 5s, right? Obviously, one of them was always going to be stun because it is the best tier 5 on the Hurricane. And it's particularly good on Rocket Barrage as well. But I wanted to try and differentiate, and I just couldn't. I could not in good faith recommend any of the builds I tried with either of the other two, Napalm Infused Rounds and Nitroglycerin Compound, which is a real shame. Especially for Nitroglycerin. I'm not surprised about Napalm. It doesn't suit Rocket Barrage because of how low the damage is per shot. It's not gonna, you're not gonna set things on fire effectively. I'm not surprised about that. Nitroglycerin I thought had some potential. And technically it did, but it's just what you're missing out. It's not worth it. It's not worth the trouble. I wish it was, but it's just really just not. Which, yeah, I think that's genuinely a shame, but, you know, I can't control the rate at which lobsters die. So I kind of just settled on to somewhat different ways of using it. One is pretty much purely AoE, which is this one. And the other one is sort of a hybrid of single target and AoE, because I don't think Rocket Barrage is suited to pure single target. So the other one is right here. It's a bit of a mixture. I think my explanation for it will make sense, especially where we are not using shrapnel load, even though it's meant for direct damage. Don't worry, I think it will make sense in the end. But yeah, this is pure AoE, so we take the radius, we take the arm breaking because that helps our Burt. And also, this is a really loose thing, but I feel like for some reason, not taking the projectile speed, it gives them a bit more coverage in a way. It means that sometimes you actually end up hitting things that weren't going to get hit before. I know it sounds a little bit dubious, but I don't think there's a massive difference between the two. It just means that sometimes the rockets kind of have something of a better chance to hit enemies, but not necessarily the one that you're actually aiming at. I don't think that quite makes sense, but I don't think there's nothing to that. Anyway, so we also take nano missiles. Nano missiles is nice because I think in this AoE build, you get a lot of area coverage anyway, so I don't feel the need to output all the missiles within seconds. I think having some more control that's kind of nice, and more ammo. Doubling the magazine size is quite delightful, and it works well with the amount of ammo that Rocket gives us. Especially because we're already increasing the rate of fire so much, but obviously the other build does increase the rate of fire. Zip fuel is obvious because we're going for area damage, and yeah, stun. I mean, stun is the more, actually, in a lot of ways, the more appropriate one for AoE, because it's just a lot of crowd control. And in some ways, I didn't really try this one with Nitroglycerin. That wouldn't have been crazy, but given that we're taking bigger jet engine on this one as well, hot talk, Nitroglycerin just wasn't considered at all, really. And I had to land on something that was just really solid DPS. Now, I think going for a Bulldog build would have made a lot of sense, but I wasn't drawn to it in this case for some reason. So I landed on my sort of very reliable, I guess, heavy burst pistol build, which uses compact mags. Compact mags allows you to actually beat out the burst's base ammo count and still take the weak point bonus in tier 4 instead of the ammo. It's still higher than base, but we get a 40% weak point bonus. It's better than having 72 more shots, or, you know, not 72. Actually, what would that be? 24. Actually, no, it is 24. It's 24. 24 shots. We get to take all damage, and we get to take fire rate as well, because of the way it is, the Burt's accuracy is actually it's actually really good. You don't really need to improve it. If you were going for something like lead spray, you might want to, but we're not. We're doing compact mags, and so that's kind of how that goes. Sticky grenades are kind of there just for fear alone, but you know, the grenade isn't always a particularly strongly considered part of the build anyway. So they're kind of just there because they ended up being the grenade I'm using, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Anyway, the first mission of this video is actually going to be an elimination with duck and cover, which is a little bit lethal, a little bit deadly, but I think it's the right call because, and yeah, this isn't the single target one. So it's like, oh, why are you using elimination? Well, first of all, the single target build is more of a hybrid anyway, and in the secondary slot, I'm using Hellfire on that build, which is going to do nothing to Dreadnoughts. This, however, duck and cover is kind of really the point of this, but also this Hurricane, this is also the one with armor breaking, remember? So if we get twins, we'll get the armor breaking effects. And it's kind of just a spray and pray for like the shielded sections of the dreadnoughts as well. Very effective against those. The other one wouldn't be particularly different. It's kind of designed to be able to deal single targets from any angle as well, but still, and it kind of makes sense because this basically strips the dreadnoughts of their shields, and then the Burt will take care of the rest. So I think it's going to work out. Also, because eliminations spawn pretty juicy pressure waves, and we got duck and cover, so we're going to have big waves of web spitters and anti-spitters that I'm going to have to sort of pull some major juju out my ass to deal with, because got slow moving projectiles. But luckily it's a rocket barrage, so hopefully we'll be hitting a lot of them anyway, because we're shooting so many missiles. It's not the most bulletproof plan, but I think for the purposes of the video it will showcase rocket barrage in a light that maybe isn't really thought about too much. Certainly hasn't been really used by me. I haven't done a duck and cover specifically in preparation for this, so we'll see how it goes. Could end up going really badly. Could, probably won't. Anyway, I am imagining potentially, because I do plan on doing it, that there has been a slightly more abstract, I mean, I wouldn't call it abstract, but as far as battle vision goes, slightly abstract commentary video about the future of Deep Rock Galactic. I'm assuming that probably has happened. I don't know if I'm actually, I want to do it, and I know when I'm going to record it, so I'm assuming it's probably happened, but who knows what I ended up saying on that. I'm sure it was all really interesting. Hopefully more interesting than whatever we ended up saying on the Doctor Who video. Who knows if that actually happened. I'm assuming it probably could have done. Probably shouldn't assume, really. The weird thing actually about this, about doing a duck and cover, actually, is because the burp was always the kind of thing I'd be using it something like a bitter. I mean, obviously this guy's on his own, so I might as well. But in general, these are the kind of like targets that the burp was really good at, outside of like really heavy single targets. Same with these guys. That goo bomber was really getting in the way, but still, how many is that? That's crazy. And there's more. Well, I mean, it is kind of meant to spawn a like grunt amount, basically. These are literally the grunts of a duck and cover mission, so don't be too surprised. Yeah, it combines quite nicely to deal with things like spreaders as well. But yeah, it's been a while since I played duck and cover actually, and I like duck and cover a lot. I think it's like they do a weird thing with it to make it sort of playable, which I think is like limiting the number of literally I think it does limit the number of ranged enemies that can shoot at the same time. Because when you encounter like a horde of like 20 acid spitters, they're not all shooting, so maybe like 5 at most are actually shooting, and so I do think there is some kind of limit placed on them. They're not actually all allowed to shoot at the same time, which is really interesting. If that's true, it definitely feels like it's the case. But it's like one of the few, pretty much one of the only things in the base game that feels like modded. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like a normal amount of acid and web spitters. I feel like it, and also one of the reasons why that feels so weird and modded is because it's they are replacing the grunts, basically. You basically don't see grunts in these missions. Why I'm taking a risk by playing it for one of these videos, because we lose a lot of like sort of the base enemy types, but we've already seen how they group up in a way that is, it's basically just grunts but ranged.
Looks like acid doesn't. Stay clear of the explosives are recharging. Quiet in the hole.
something that Rocket Barrage will always be good at, by the way. It's just kind of just dousing, I guess, is a way to, something you can call it. It's kind of just laying onto any enemy and dealing decent damage to them, because the rockets are just, they are relatively unbiased. The Hurricane's always going to be a weapon, I think, that's good against pretty much any given target. It doesn't really have much in the way of limitations as far as targets go. It's always going to be able to do something for something. There's very little that's like truly, I'm not sure there's anything that's truly like that the Hurricane is truly bad against, you know, which I think is cool. The limitation there is like actually built into the Hurricane's like mechanics. Like, I do think the like, not necessarily the guidance specifically, and we'll talk about that, but not the guidance necessarily, but travel time I think is literally meant to be a downside, to sort of alleviate how strong the Hurricane is. Because imagine if it was hit scan. Like, imagine if it fired like the Thunderhead. It'd be ridiculous, because it does a lot more damage per shot than the Hurricane. Like when you actually think about it. So it kind of needs some kind of limit built into it. But I understand though, because obviously that creates problems with like client side things. Like, clients actually have a weird time with the Hurricane, as far as I understand. Not too clued up on that kind of thing, given they literally don't play multiplayer. Haven't done for quite some time. But whatever. Anyway, I already feel a pressure wave coming on, but overall I think I'd rather skip to Dreadnought, first Dreadnoughts. Actually, this room is probably going to be case. Okay. Oh, I need to do that to stop that first little projectile. Shouldn't have got hit by that second spit one though. That was on me.
Oh yeah.
Evening, fellas. Actually, I don't know if I'm not sure if I'm hitting the cocoon or not. I don't think I am. Safe. Yeah, this is where not having projectile speed is a little bit damning. But also, something else we don't have is guidance. Obviously, I mentioned that it's one of the key penalties that the Overclock has, and it's a little bit arbitrary. This is actually my biggest problem with the Hurricane overall. As much as I actually really love its Overclock selection, too many of them disable the guidance, as in most of them do, actually. In a lot of cases they technically don't. There's actually only 2 that objectively turn off the guidance. And it's this one and Mine Layer System, but put it like this. Well, first of all, thank God the cleans are completely safe from this problem. It'd be kind of weird if they weren't. Manual guidance cutoff actually wasn't, to be fair. It actually did turn off your guidance when you let go of the trigger. But most of them do spiritually turn off the guidance. Like, Jet Fuel Homebrew just increases the velocity so much that you can't really change targets mid-flight. I would argue that you really just can't. Meteor Shower. Okay. Why not? You pretty much just can't turn it. Cluster missiles. Cluster munitions. I would say doesn't really turn off the guidance, but I think that one is kind of safe, but it's also like you do sort of cluster them and then they just fall. guidance goes away when you actually do interact with the main feature of the overclock. So in a way, I would say it does kind of betray the guidance. And then salvo module doesn't turn off the guidance, but it does for salvo module blasts, like when you actually use the shotgun effect. Those missiles are unguided, and I think they should be. I think that'd be really cool if they were, because it would just be interesting. It would stop it from being really forced into being close range, and I don't think it would be that overpowered. But I think I wouldn't really be saying much of this if Rocket Barrage still had the guidance. I think Rocket Barrage does not justify getting rid of the guidance at all. As much as I like this overclock, it's the biggest problem with it. It doesn't excuse that, in my opinion, like, at all. I just don't think it should turn it off. I don't know. I don't agree with that decision. But now we get to truly experience Hurricane being the king of unbiased damage. He won the weak bows, he's losing the bird, but they really should have gone to heal by now. I don't know how to not override it necessarily, but definitely counteract the healing in some way. Actually got the Arbalest slightly lower than the Lacerator, which honestly I'm going to say is luck. But yeah, I think Rocket Barrage would actually be a lot better if it could actually use the guidance system. Because I don't think the name indicates that you wouldn't be able to guide the missiles, personally. Like, you send out a barrage that you're still controlling, how I would imagine it, based on the name. But that's not happening at all. You're sending out a completely unguided barrage, and I find that very weird. It's still very strong because of just the crazy fire rate and ammo economy. Although, actually, there's something I needed to check, and I'm going to check it now. Okay, I was partially correct. So, I was thinking about this idea that I kind of gotten wind of, in a way, by looking at stats and things like that, about how Rocket Barrage actually results in less total damage. And it does, but like if you take the weapon unupgraded, Rocket Barrage actually decreases your total damage, which does place it in that weird category of bad, like ammo overclocks that just add loads of ammo but don't really gain much for it. Technically, mini shells is one on the Warthog, but that actually does increase total damage, and I think micro flechettes does as well. I think they usually do give you more total damage. This one doesn't. It does if you take both damage upgrades, and that works because it's the only ammo overclock on the Hurricane. That's why this works. But it's still kind of weird that if you're going unupgraded, which obviously you shouldn't, but if you're going unupgraded, it does give you less total damage. Which kind of a weird aspect of it, where I appreciate the fact that it's also, by the way, it's not by much, it's a very small amount, and that's why you can easily overturn that notion with the damage upgrades, but it's still a thing. And I think that in and of itself should be overturned by not making it a downgrade in any other way. I think the damage decrease overall, both to the actual direct rockets themselves and obviously the loss in total damage, despite the fact it's like a massive ammo boost, I think it entirely justifies keeping the guidance system. I don't think it should be gone at all. Also, that we're going to do that right now, actually. Yeah, let's go. But also, this is actually better to illustrate in the equipment terminal, but it has an ammo problem in terms of interacting with the upgrades. Most ammo overclocks basically convert how ammo upgrades are applied to the weapon. And what I mean by that is, basically, when you equip an ammo overclock, it's usually done through like a percentage boost to the weapon's ammo stat, and what that does, it applies that percentage boost to the ammo upgrades as well. This actually doesn't happen for every single one of these, like every single ammo overclock, but it happens to a lot of them. But this is a really bad example of it not doing that, because what is more important about that is also, well, not more important, but it also affects magazine size upgrades too. But that's fine because this overclock doesn't increase the magazine size anyway. That's not actually that big of a problem. But it does mean the ammo, you gain like almost 200 ammo from taking the overclock. Actually, over 200, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, over 200, 212? 216, I think is the actual number you gain. But the ammo upgrade is still stuck at 72, the original value. Which doesn't make sense. And I will come back to this once we get back to the space rig, I think. But it just means the ammo upgrade has there's no reason to take it on this overclock. And I don't like that. I want to be able to double down, but you just shouldn't, because it's such a small amount in comparison. It's literally only 2, or even in this case 1 clip of ammo, but the overclock is adding like 6 clips, I think, in this case. Maybe no, probably not 6. No, 3 clips actually in this case. Normally it would be 6, but I'm kind of tweaking. Anyway, we saw how well it handled the core spawn, which was very nice, because not many weapons that handle core spawn like reliably like that. Not bad. Anyway, I think I'll come back to all that once we're on the space rig. So for now, I'll see you when there's a pressure wave. Actually, maybe I should rustle the swarm tunnel deliberately. This works quite well. This is actually something that's very good at. The Hurricane is already good at this. Actually, in some cases, probably better than Rocket Barrage is, because Rocket Barrage has slightly lower damage output on both ends, which means at the edge of the blast, the swarm will actually survive, but ammo-wise, it still works. The Hurricane is actually kind of always good at the swarmers. That's what I mean, it's literally good at everything. Like, it kind of, when you go backwards in time with the generations of gunner weapons, they get progressively worse against swarmers, almost. Well, I would say the Hurricane is definitely worse than the Thunderhead is definitely worse than the Hurricane at swarmers, and the minigun is just flat out terrible against swarmers. But the Hurricane, very good, and that's for all tiny enemies as well, because you can kind of just home in on a single shocker if it's shockers that you're dealing with, and that just works. It just kills them very effectively, like all the shockers around it. Especially if you take the best Hurricane build, which will come up again, which is fragmentation missiles. That will come up again once I get given fragmentation missiles to do. Obviously, that's completely based around a singular build that I think is fantastic. But it will have to change for the purpose of that video. There will be a different build, but I still think that overclock is absolutely wonderful. It just proves how good the base Hurricane is. Obviously, the other one, is it overtuned firing mechanism? It probably isn't, right? Because it's the one that increases fire rate and velocity as well. Does it increase velocity? I'm not sure, but it's that one, the fire rate one. You know what I'm talking about. That will be the one that really proves how good base Hurricane is, because it doesn't add any damage or just fire rate. Nice, it's a cool overclock. Dreadnought time. Right, I got my next pressure wave. With the Burt, just killing Mac Terror spawn, because it's very good at that. Two Clipped Menace! Because I didn't know the Burt could actually kill the Menaces in one clip. Who's beard? What did he say? Oh, I'm kind of slipping a bit. Menaces are getting to me. A little bit of that though is Menace's stunning is so important for Menaces, and we have like projectiles that actually take time to hit them before we stun the creature itself. So the Menace can literally still be shooting us while we're shooting it, which isn't the case with anything that is hit scan and that has stun on it. I've got to figure out how I'm going to fight this thing. I think we'll take this to spawn. Still got to find another Festa Flea.
Go! Get to work!
Health is really low. I mean, ammo is like really high. In fact, it's actually just the ammo on the Hurricane that's really high, because that's Rocket Barrage. That's the whole point. But I haven't used as much as I would like.
I ordered a resupply!
Let's just do this. And that's the funny thing about the magazine size and the rate of fire upgrade being in the same slot. I just think it's weird because obviously that took a while to actually get through the whole magazine, and if you don't take the magazine upgrade, it's going to be even quicker because that means you're probably taking the rate of fire upgrade. And if for some reason you chose to take neither. Hive Guard. Yeah. Which means it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass getting it over here, I just realised. Getting it to move to spawn. I've got it's just idiot when it comes to that kind of thing. But this is going to be a segment where we get a legitimate use out of AoE because it will help us hit more of them, more of the shields with explosions, and potentially, I'm not sure if they already do that, but if they already do, it will at least mean our maximum damage radius is bigger. Also, you can start shooting the thing's weak point before it actually opens up. As long, like literally, as long as the Hive Guard's health bar is there, it means you can hit the weak point if you're shooting the weak point, even if you can't see it. Kind of stupid because I probably shouldn't be able to do that. We should be able to do that, but we can. Didn't even get to break the rocks for that time. It's exactly what I wanted. Alright, let's go. We're done, let's go. So I hope you saw Rocket Barrage just working in a lot of different, I'd say a fair few different contexts that work for it. Just sort of cleaning up trash, dealing with dense groups of enemies, like here's one. And keeping them in check. Which I think it is like, that proves the stunning is like very effective because none of those aspects were able to shoot, you know? And yet, it's not like you couldn't do this with a lot of different Hurricane builds, because you can. But we have so much more ammo to do it with, and we do have like a rate of fire that allows us to handle single targets in a quite compelling way. It really pushes the agenda of it being very powerful and unbiased damage. You know, you could kind of just shoot at stuff and it would eventually die, and having more ammo and fire rate helps that notion be sort of given some credibility, where it might sound a little bit just reckless and unproven. I think this kind of proves that that works. Like with that Menace just now. And then it just provides generally good support fire against bosses as well, because it will. And that applies to both. Obviously with the next build we are going to want it to be a little bit more accurate. Like with a caretaker, for example, you would absolutely just fire this thing at the caretaker while it's doing the vent section. But with the next build, you probably want to save it for the eye, or make sure you are definitely hitting the vents, at least. Also, I don't want to go down during the last few seconds of the mission, so my first down be in the last few seconds. Well, he's level 25 now, but luckily I only have to do one mission at level 25. It still pains me to have to do that, but duty called. Anyway, first of all, I'm going to check out mission setup.
Excellent performance for Deep Rock Galactic hasn't gone unnoticed.
Now,
Management are seriously considering
order selection. That would actually be the best one, but obviously I already intended to also do chart. I also didn't want to do elimination with the second build specifically because of that. Hellfire. Do elimination. So I'm just going to have to pick something. I can't really wait 23 minutes either. Rotation. Not going to be Swarmageddon. Not going to be a low oxygen point extraction. Jesus Christ. Probably going to be... I think this is actually suitably difficult because it's a big point extraction and I'm a gun on crystalline caverns. So, you know, it's free hit terrain. Anyway, let's talk about what I was talking about earlier. Ammo. So, I'm going to take Rocket Barrage off. Okay, so was I right? 216? Yep, 216 ammo. But the ammo upgrade adds 72 ammo, which is okay. It's actually not even that much in the context of base Hurricane, to be honest. But it's okay. Rocket Barrage. Same. Still 72. So we only got up to 576 from 504. Not worth it. Like, when you think about how much you get from taking damage instead of that, or AoE, which is going to result in more like total damage against grouped enemies. No point ever taking this upgrade. But that's not how it works all the time. Especially, actually, it almost comes up more when the Overclock takes away ammo, which is why the Warthog is a great prover of this. So base Warthog, the ammo upgrade, I'm going to take it off as well. The ammo upgrade adds 42, 90, 42. Actually very good, a very good amount, almost 50% more ammo. Mini shells, of course, adds a lot of ammo, 78 ammo, and then the upgrade adds 42. Okay, I didn't plan this out very well. I can tell you for sure though that pump action does this. So only has 28 where it used to add 42. But I'm going to try and find one of the weapons where it does this with a positive ammo increase. So I'm pretty sure that exists. I'm actually getting a little bit wary now. It wouldn't change my criticism, by the way, because obviously in this case, it is actually still worth taking it. Because 42 is a lot. It's actually more so that the Hurricane's ammo upgrade is really weak. But I'm going to see if I can quickly find an example of this, because otherwise I'm going to look really stupid. Actually, I found the key example really quickly, but unfortunately it's micro flechettes. Once again, it doesn't change anything. I still think the point stands that it would be a good idea for the Hurricane to do that because of how big the ammo increase is. If the ammo upgrade was bigger already, if it was something like 108 maybe, much more justification, but it's not. It's 72. But yeah, so base Burt, this had 72 ammo. Take micro flechettes, it now adds 144. Wow. Yeah, there you go. I'm just showing you that it's a thing. Basically, it is a thing that happens. Anyway, let's move on to the second build. So yeah, this is the one where the Hurricane is a bit more of a single target killer. So what it will be doing is handling sort of like trash enemies like Mactera, Spawn, and Grunts when they're sort of in small numbers or by themselves, and HVTs as well, like Weather Spitters and Acid Spitters. And then for the tankier targets, we will drop a Hellfire shot and then combine that with a Barrage from this weapon. Because Hellfire is here for really dense groups of enemies, the biggest groups of enemies we encounter, and like single targets for supplementary DPS. Because as good as this thing is, it actually can't kill Praetorian in one clip, but but it can with Hellfire included, and that's how I justify taking the fire rate over the magazine size, where you obviously can kill the Praetorian in one clip with the magazine size. So yeah, but having that rate of fire is just so much damn fun. So we take damage in tier 1 and zip fuel in tier 4, not shrapnel load. And that's because, yeah, it is high, it's 50%, but also what we gain from zip fuel is 4 damage. That is completely unbiased. We can hit the enemies from any direction. And that just kind of works really nicely. It means we don't have to be that accurate, where the Hurricane normally promotes that because it's like, it lets you be more accurate from any angle because of the guidance, but we don't have the guidance. We have fairly slow-moving missiles, even with our increased velocity. So just going all in on the damage in an unbiased manner is really helpful. Like, not having to rely on weak points is actually really nice. But we still take velocity to help it deal with those things I mentioned, especially HVTs. Like, you can make killing acid splitters a lot more easier, and like cave leeches and things like that. And yeah, stun in tier 5. It's going to be stun. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying against Praetorians, but it's also not. The reason why stun is annoying against Praetorians is because usually the best time to kill them is when they're doing their breath attack, but that usually only really counts when you have a high weak point multiplier. In this case we don't. We can just shoot the Praetorian from anywhere and deal the same amount of damage to it. So just works, bro. And yeah, Hellfire coil gun for dealing with really dense groups and supplementary DPS against tanky targets. Built exactly for that. Ammo, charge speed, because it's the only option you should take on this tier. Fear. Fear. It's so we're not doubling up on stun. And Fear also works really well against Praetorians because it's a 100% chance to activate, unlike the stun, which is 50% chance to activate, which means we can reliably interrupt Praetorians every time we shoot coil gun. Obviously, it's weird in the sense of with Hellfire, like, especially after they nerfed the radius, enemies escape the trail pretty quickly. But with grunts and Mactera, like base grunts and Mactera, they get set on fire pretty much instantly, so that works for me. And the Praetorian's going to get stunned by a Hurricane anyway when we turn it around. So it works in most ways. Shockwave, I don't know, take what you want here. And then dilated injector system. I wish it could be electric trail, but now trail radius is literally 0.3 meters. Yes, they did murder Hellfire. It's still pretty good as long as you have the increased AoE radius, but still, it's stupid. It's so much weaker than it used to be. Like, it even has a shorter trail duration now. It's like, guys, I don't know if this was the move. It still does damage, but it's like, I don't know. Anyways, let's just get into this. So I can prove my worth. My mouth is dry as hell, man. I'm thankful I didn't record that commentary video yesterday, because I almost did. Yeah, but now I'm out of topics. No. I could talk about Doctor Who, but that's the thing, that's like weeks ago now. What a weird thing to happen. Also, it's not really a place. This is an Overclock showcase. I do sometimes think about like what this series will look like with Rogue Corps, because the plan is, ideally that Rogue Corps will provide something that would make sense to sort of supplant this series, to an extent, not entirely. But something that would make sense to do a series like this on will hopefully be present in Rogue Corps. I don't know what that would be. It's like, especially because obviously it's a roguelike. You don't have control over your starting weapons. Like that. So we'll see. There'll definitely be more drawn out, sort of generic, like focused things. I know generic and focused being in the same sentence doesn't make sense, but I mean, like, you know, like classes, just like, oh, my first run using like the Backtracker, for example, which is a prototype class at the moment. It's not entirely in the game, but also it is in Rogue Corps. It's there as like a placeholder at the moment, but clearly the intention is to get that in the game. They're putting forward a very clear intention to have more than 4 classes on launch, and I think that is very wise. I think the fact that they already stripped it down to 4 classes for the first alpha playtest was like some alarm bells, because it's kind of them stripping back to 4 classes. But you know, it's so early on that I don't think it impacted really their decision or their intention to have more than 4. So I think it's going to be fine. that Warden, for some reason, from a distance, that Warden,
Depositing.
yeah, they are really putting their foot forward with like, yeah, Rotor is going to have more than 4 classes. It's going to have probably a lot more than 4 classes, which is the most exciting part.
Ready.
I think I think there will be 6 to 8 classes on early access launch for Rotor. I think there will be at least 6, and I think there's a good chance there will actually be more than that, and I think they would make it 8. I think they want to keep it even. Which is why I am sort of not expecting necessarily, but anticipating a sort of quite a high likelihood that, like, sort of a lot of post-launch updates for Rotor will be like
Inventory is full.
sort of somewhat centered around new classes. Like, here are 2 new classes, like 2 new classes per update seems like a feasible amount for like the depth of classes in Rotor. They do bring sort of upgrade decks as well. The only thing that doesn't seem to be prominent in Rotor is upgrades affecting how class abilities work. It's something that we were definitely expecting, and it seems to be absent pretty much entirely, which is surprising. And what I mean by that is things like a really basic example would be an upgrade that changes the Slicer's energy blade to shoot an energy wave when you attack with it as well. That would be a basic example. Or like Guardian's like fear like radius inflicting like an execution or something like that as well. Things like that. Or Falconeer drones, like adding like more drones, or the drone becomes more advanced. Spotter darts like poison enemies, things like this, like that. Who knows? They might go in for that. We'll see. But the decks are still interesting. Where you sort of pick these decks of bio boosters that are like unique to the class, or at least they're dictated by the class, or sort of come from the class. But I think you'll still be able to transfer them between classes. It's interesting. It's really interesting stuff. But that's the thing. Then being able to transfer the decks between classes, that's the kind of thing that tells me about like, oh, maybe they don't really intend on doing upgrades that like drastically change how abilities work. And I think that's fine because of the intention. In a lot of ways, it's fine because of the intention to do a lot of different classes, right? It means you can get a lot of different unique abilities in that way. Like the Gorgon would be like. The assumption is that the Gorgon class, if that makes it in, will go in for some kind of paralysis effect. And that could easily be sort of like negated if you added an upgrade that adds an effect to the Guardian, where it's like, oh, now your like wave like paralyzes enemy at the same time it stuns them as well. Like you could kind of avoid that by just making new classes instead of having it be in form of upgrades. Yeah, the weird thing about this build is actually a little bit more spastic than like the other way you use it, which I think is an okay word to use. I use it a lot in that sense, and I think that works. Like spastic, when you sort of like have like spastic drum beats, that's like a common term. Like that is literally like the drums in Run, which is one of the tracks. Like, you know, dun 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 dun, that one. And that's literally how Snish described the drums in that song. So like, he likes the spastic drums. It's just weird because it's so close to slash like analogous to obviously like a fairly derogatory term, but I think it's okay. Or I know. Because in my opinion, it kind of just means like, you know, it's an opinion. I think just by definition, it kind of just means like rampant and unpredictable. Of the stripped back version of that word. The one syllable version, that's the rude one. Okay. Yeah, the build is a little bit more spastic. It's sort of like just shoot things immediately with whatever makes the most sense. It's not really the kind of build where you consider what you're doing very much. But it does have the sort of more deliberate sort of combo aspect of like, with a big target, like a Warden or a Praetorian, shoot the core gun first and then finish them off the Hurricane. I like stuff like that, and that's obviously really has been very prominent throughout this series. I've really shown my hand, and I like stuff that has that kind of inbuilt stealth synergy. Like, it's not literally a direct combo, like we'll very likely see next week with something like the sludge pump and the wave cooker, or the wave cooker and any of the primaries on the driller. Like pretty direct combos in what you're doing that sort of rely on each other. But I really like the stuff. I like that too, by the way. I really like that stuff, but I also like stuff that doesn't rely on each other, but there is still a feeling and sort of an efficiency generated by the way the weapons work. But it's not like built into their DNA. It's not built into what they share necessarily. They don't like have these things where it's like, oh, this inflicts this effect, which allows the other one to inflict this effect. It's just things that they do. It's just complementing each other, basically. Also, I learned quite recently that complementing and complementing are different things. That when something complements something, anything goes well with it, that's not the same as like offering it a compliment. I thought it was, because that is essentially, that's very similar in meaning. It's like, oh, it props it up. Like a compliment is very often used to like prop someone up, or sort of like, improve them in a way. Right? It's like, highlighting what's good about them. And it always makes, like how the wave cooker complements the sludge pump. I feel like, it's almost like pointing out what's great about the sludge pump. It's like, it's complementing it. It's like saying, I don't know, I always thought someone's the same thing, but they're not. Like, something that is a complement to something else is spelt differently, is the main point. It's literally, complement is, COMPLIMENT. But in where we're talking about, like, oh, this complements that, sludge pump complements wave cooker, ketchup complements fries, it's an E instead of an I. So it's COMPLEMENT. Yeah, weird. The English language is kind of fucked, but I don't know, for some reason I find it's elaborate, like its arbitrary elaborateness fascinating. I guess I kind of have to, like an English student, or former student now. Ugh. But someone who is assumingly going to go into a career that involves writing in English, I'm kind of Stockholm syndrome into respecting the English language, where I kind of know it's stupid.
Grabbing ammo. Red sugar.
One body.
Contact. Lock and load.
I think I just took a resupply. But you do need to be careful though, because obviously in this build you can run into the risk of using the coil gun actually quite a bit more than Hurricane if you're not careful, and I don't like doing that. You know how I am, or you should know how I am. I like to use things like an equal amount as much as I can. Good thing about the velocity there, all those rockets hit the enemies before it went away. In the previous build, I reckon they probably wouldn't have all done that. I need to go quiet hunting, really, don't I? Because I'm not going to finish this. Yeah, I'm actually pretty enthused about next week's, whatever it's going to be. I don't know what the Overclock's going to be, but it will be the sludge pump, and I always love using the sludge pump, even if it's going to be one of the unstables, which I typically avoid in the sludge pump. Goo Bomber Special and Sludge Blast. They're not really my cup of tea, but I will not be opposed to being forced to use them.
Things are about to heat up, lads. I really can't use this already.
I'm just going to blitz this machine gun. I do want to do it. Chance I should have a resupply nearby for it, but I think I'll be okay.
And load it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
If this doesn't start it, I'll whack it with it.
Cursite analyzer boozing up. Volatile cursite deposits in the area are infecting the local wildlife. Get as many samples as you can from the infected beasties. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Reloading. Nice spit on your brakes.
Whoa! Wait, well, hold on. Where did that go?
Shield up.
In the thing. Oh, what the hell? How did it get there?
Well done. Core infuser is active.
No.
No, the flares are recharging. Score inserted.
Hello there, laddie.
I'm taking some of the ammo. Feel much better now.
Guys, please, let's sort this out.
How dare you flying fancy? I'm totally loaded.
Remember though, I thought I saw like the quark glow. I just wanted to get enough nitrogen. Presser! Hardly know her. So I keep power attack damage. It's on. Best pickaxe upgrade.
I'm wondering if fighting bugs and moving dirt is the best way to make a living. Another egg eradicated. Yeah, give me some sugar. Flares, recharging. These bugs don't stand a chance. Getting more ammo.
But I've really got to find this aquatic because this could have been a relatively shorter one. But depth and breaks.
Let's clear them out. Oh,
Why am I doing this? I've already got a zip line up there. Yeah, I did it anyway. But hey, only one hand. Back. Shooting Lord of the Rings too.
egg fried. Give me some Lord.
No.
Mine it. Be gone. You're a stain on the floor. I need you here.
Oh, there's another one over here, wasn't there?
Weapon ready. Bosco, find it. Ah! Here, have some extinction.
I don't know why I expected to survive that. I'd say if it was if I went the whole distance, obviously I was going to die. But even I thought that was going to kill me.
Saved by a machine how humiliating.
God knows why.
Reloaded. Another day at the office.
Let's actually get that. Oh, okay, he did, but he left it up there. Bastard.
Well done, you got them all. Hit the launch controls, return the minehead, we'll send in the escape pod. Minehead returning, escape pod inbound. Expect heavy resistance until we can pick you up. Secondary objective has been achieved. Bonus will be transferred to your accounts on mission completion.
It is weird, like the lead burster, like kills bulk detonators in the way that it does. Like it just suddenly starts doing more damage to them. I think it's because it has really weird interactions with weak points. I don't really know how to describe it, but it feels like it hits enemy weak points through them almost. That's why it's so strong against detonators and barrage infectors too. I mean, Jesus Christ. That is quite a spectacular use for Headburster. The way it kills barrage infectors is hilarious.
Victorian down. Ready. Ain't no hiding from me, bug.
Pops on the way, hang in there.
Quite right.
Locked and loaded. Faster than a speeding bullet.
Yeah, you can't hit me.
Drop pod arrived
Wait.
and waiting for takeoff.
Fuck!
Pod departing
I wanted to
in
clamber on the side of that.
3 minutes.
It would have been incredible.
Boom, baby! No survivor!
What's that sound? What's that? Weird. Okay, either way, that's Rocket Barrage. A very fun, very powerful overclock with a number of flaws that, while it is strong, I think its flaws still don't justify themselves because I think they are flaws, not just penalties. I think you could actually keep... You could keep the penalties. I think the ammo thing I really would like to be changed. But obviously the guidance was really the thing I was pushing, and that is one of the penalties. So... And I would be happy to swap it out for something else. I think... I wouldn't like it, but you would need something that is a genuine downside to justify that. So I think reload speed would actually be best thing. It would be a little bit precarious, but I think it's probably the way to go. But yeah, that's Rocket Barrage. If you enjoyed this episode of Overclock Showcase, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to see more stuff like this, and you want to stay on top of everything, do Deep Rock and Roll Call. And also click the bell, and I mean everything. Anything that is actual news about the games, you'll hear it from us as soon as possible. But until then, trying to find out what next week's Overclock will be. Like I said, it's the Sludge Pump, and if you haven't seen this before, it works. Also, who's going to be the guinea pig? Not you, actually. Be you. I don't like you, but it's going to be you. We number the overclocks left, right, top to bottom. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Already done combustive goo mix and first compound, which leaves us with 2 to 6. So I bring up the Wheel of Fortune. It's not going to be that, is it? It's going to be Carl. I knew it. But I bring up the Wheel of Fortune. There it is. Look at that. The Fantastic Four. And we spin the wheel, find out what our overclock's going to be. So try and play the game of like guessing what it is based on the number. I know what that is, and that is fine. I was down for any of these because I'm a big fan of the Sludge Pump, but we got another clean. But it's also AG Mixture. Got AG Mixture, which is fine because AG Mixture is actually quite good. I like using it quite a bit actually. I'm more of a AG Mixture fan than most people, so I'm not going to complain about that. I'm simply going to power through, use it to the best of my ability. Someone used to have it equipped. Used to. The operative word there. But I think this guy's going to have it equipped again. But that'll be next week. Until then, I need to find a suitably Rocket Barrage-y drink. Let's make sure. Copyright strike if I'm not. I guess Flintlock Special is probably the one for this.
Nice, too!
Yeah. Flintlock's Delight, sorry, not Flintlock Special.
Cheers, everyone!
You boys better be better miners than you are dancers.
That's the stuff!